The Fox 61 News at 6 starts now.
We start off with breaking news in Cheshire now. Crews are cleaning up after a crash left behind hazardous materials. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Annette Montgomery. Now we're told hundreds of gallons of oil were spilled across a road. Fox 61's Tim Lateau has been on scene for hours and joins us live from Cheshire with what's happening out there now. Tim.
Yeah, and Brent, you can see these massive piles of sand here to try to block the oil from spilling even further. Just up the road here, you can see the scene. So many trucks still on scene as crews have worked late into the day to get this all cleaned up. Now, they've even had to go onto people's properties to do so, and it's a big task as the tanker spilled 1,000 gallons of oil. All of this is taking place on Mountain Brook Drive between South Brooksvale Road and Bethany Mountain Road. Cheshire Fire and police are on scene alongside the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. But the company spearheading the cleanup is Environmental Services Incorporated. And there's about a half dozen of their trucks on scene. Dump trucks brought in sand to contain the spill, while there are other tanker trucks here with hoses running into people's backyards. The oil tanker company that crashed this truck that crashed this morning was from the FF Hitchcock Oil Company. The hood was off the truck, but otherwise it did not appear to be significantly damaged. We're told from officials from deep that the oil spilled out the top of the truck, which is where a dome is located on it. The driver was not injured in the crash, and the truck was the only vehicle involved. This neighborhood is a private one with large houses and properties. Some homeowners that we've spoken with are now worried about contamination in their water wells, as many of the homes in this neighborhood do have those water wells, and contamination is now a concern for them. They say that they'll be drinking out of bottled water in the meantime. The crash is slowing traffic, but homeowners are able to get to and from their houses at this point. I asked if there would be an update on the cleanup, but workers do not expect to have one tonight. A situation like this certainly is not new to the neighborhood either. There was another crash and oil spill on this road 4 years ago. More than 2,000 gallons were spilled in that oil spill, and it took a week to clean up. We'll stay on the story for you in Cheshire. Now, Tim Lateau, Fox 61.
Thank you so much, Tim. Well, over in Torrington, they say schools had a threat this morning at two of their biggest schools, leading to a massive evacuation and search. Fox 61's Victoria Anderson has the latest on what officials learned and what students witnessed.
Students I spoke with said it was a scary and tense morning here at Torrington Middle and High School after what the assistant superintendent is calling an unfortunate situation that led to an evacuation of both schools.
Like, I've never heard of this happening.
But what exactly happened? That was the question on everyone's mind after a shelter-in-place order quickly turned into a mass evacuation around 9 a.m. at both Torrington High and Middle School. The school notified parents that all staff and students would be dismissed at 9:40, citing an emergency evacuation. Mateo Cayula, who goes to Oliver Wolcott Technical School across the street, said rumors quickly spread across social media.
People were starting to text and saying that they got let out of school from here. And it was pretty much them saying that there was a bomb threat or, like he said, a carbon monoxide poisoning.
Bobby LeBoy, who also goes to Wolcott, told us she spent the morning trying to get in contact with her brothers who were evacuated.
My mom texted me around 10 and asked if we were on a lockdown because my brothers had been sent home from school.
In a statement, Torrington Public Schools shared that they were made aware of a threat to both campuses in the morning. The decision to evacuate was made so police could thoroughly and safely inspect both campuses. They now believe these threats were not credible and said students will be back in class Thursday. And while some students like Logan Dinda say they were shocked to see such a large response from law enforcement,
there was a bomb truck in the back of the school by the field, and then that there was 6 squad cars pulling up.
Other students like Landon Gascoigne said they weren't surprised.
Bomb threats are sadly very common around here because people just assume that nothing's going to happen.
District officials told us no other schools in the district were affected. We're going to continue to bring you updates on this on air and on our website at fox61.com. In Torrington, Victoria Anderson, Fox 61.
Thank you, Victoria. Breaking news in Southbury now, where a multi-vehicle crash today involved a school bus. It happened this afternoon. Police say the crash involved a Region 14 bus on Southford Road near Jeremy Swamp Road. Several people have been taken to the hospital with what appear to be non-life-threatening injuries. We are still waiting to learn if any of those people are students. Drivers should expect delays or possible road closures in that area.
And taking you now to Oxford, where after already missing the first 3 days of school this week, students at Quaker Farm School will now be out for the rest of the week. Now, this follows power disruptions, frozen pipes, and a heat outage. The school says while some progress has been made, it's still not safe to bring students back to school. Now, due to so many missed days, the last day of school will now be June 19th for students there, while all other schools in the district will end on the 11th.
You'll find more coverage of all these breaking news stories on our free Fox 61 app. Use the QR code on your screen to download it or go to fox61.com 24/7.
Over in Southbury, a man is accused of sending a text that read, quote, "I'll blow up Coleytown Elementary School" last November. Westport police say Christopher Iannacona sent the text around 7:30 in the morning. That threat caused evacuations, delays, and bomb searches. Investigators didn't find any explosives in the school, but officers say they found him not too far. They also say he told them his phone had somehow been hacked. Iannacona was in court today on computer crimes and lying charges. He's currently behind bars in another municipality for a different case.
Well, some people living at the concierge apartments in Rocky Hill were able to return home last night. Others are still waiting for their building's repairs to be done. Mayor Alan Smith released a letter today with details. He said people who live in buildings A, B, and C can't stay there overnight, but they are allowed to go home during the day to grab things if needed. There's no confirmed timeline of when repairs will be completely finished. The property management says the goal is by the end of next week. The mayor says if a tenant is told their hotel accommodations will end, they should contact the hotel and concierge management to request extensions or arrange other plans. Mayor Smith says, quote, "We understand this has been a difficult and disruptive experience for many residents, and we remain committed to working with our state partners and property ownership to see the situation resolved safely and responsibly," end quote. Windsor Locks police say a 93-year-old woman in the care of Bickford Health Care Center who was found face down in the snow last Sunday had left the facility 3 hours and 17 minutes earlier. Detectives say surveillance video helped them develop a timeline of what happened. Video shows Margaret Healy left through an employee entrance in the back of the building at 1:50 in the morning. They say she was discovered missing from her bed at 4:45 and then found face down in the snow. Healy was pronounced dead at 6:46. Investigators say the door she left through is supposed to stay closed and locked, but is often left propped open. And they say there's a keypad to this door that requires a code to unlock it, but the code is printed near the keypad. It's unclear what consequences, if any, Bickford will face in this case.
More than a decade after a sexual assault case went cold, New Haven police say science never stopped working behind the scenes. Now a DNA match has led to an arrest, tying that 2013 investigation to another assault years later. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules explains how investigators made that connection.
The case was reopened after investigators got a DNA hit connecting this case to another sexual assault out of Waterbury in 2021.
We don't forget.
Chief David Zanelli says DNA played a major part in this case.
DNA is a very strong link. That is something we rely on heavily, improving these cases through the adjudication process.
In July of 2013, Captain Brendan Borer says the police department got a report of a sexual assault that happened during a house party.
And despite extensive investigative efforts at the time in 2013, the case eventually became inactive and remained unsolved.
The case was reopened once they got a DNA hit connecting the case to a 2021 sexual assault in Waterbury, in which Moses Watkis was arrested. Borer says Watkis was put on bond and was awaiting trial for the 2021 case.
DNA was obtained from Watkis and analyzed and confirmed to be a match to evidence collected in our case from 2013.
Watkis was arrested by New Haven police in Waterbury in late January. Watkis was charged with sexual assault in the first degree and unlawful restraint in the first degree. New Haven Mayor Justin Elicker hopes this arrest sends a message to both victims and perpetrators.
This case is just one example of that fact that we will work hard, especially if there's new information available, to hunt people down and make sure that they're held accountable in our community.
Watkis was arraigned in New Haven Superior Court and is being held on a $750,000 bond. In New Haven, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
Thank you so much, Alicia. And speaking of the New Haven Police Department, they have now made several arrests in a New Year's Eve shooting that left one woman hurt. Police arrested 20-year-old Jotwin Robinson, 54-year-old Hashimu Barker, and 27-year-old Tyreek London. That was for the shooting in the area of Chapel and Kensington Street. Police say Barker began shooting at Robinson, London, and a third person who were in a vehicle. The three got out when London began shooting back at Barker, and the victim was caught in the crossfire. Tonight, investigators are still working to find the third person who was in the car at the time of that shooting.
And new here at 6, a man turned himself in to state police yesterday in connection to a serious crash in North Stonington last May. Gregory White is accused of driving recklessly, causing a crash, and sending a 74-year-old woman to the hospital. Police say White was driving on Route 2 when they say he sped up, drove onto the shoulder and the grass, and then hit a concrete drainage structure. The troopers tell us White's pickup truck spun uncontrollably and then crashed into a car. We're told White ran away from the scene. A woman in that car was admitted into the ICU. White is out on bond and due in court later this month.
And over in Putnam, police arrested an 18-year-old accused of stealing a car that had a shotgun inside and then led officers on a chase. 18-year-old Dublin Lowell is facing larceny and other charges. Putnam police said the car was reportedly stolen yesterday morning, and officers spotted it around 4 p.m. on Route 44. They said the car kept going when they tried to stop it. Officials said they eventually found it in Thompson with Lowell inside, along with a 15 and 17-year-old, and they also say the shotgun was inside that car. The car was smoking and eventually caught fire. Lowell was scheduled to appear in court today.
Well, the city of Derby is calling on the community to pitch in and help after a fire displaced several families this past weekend. The fire happened Sunday on Derby Avenue. The 0-degree temperatures and frozen fire hydrants made putting out the fire even more difficult, but luckily firefighters were able to rescue all 10 people inside. And now the city is working to provide those families with things like food and clothing and essential items. The city says donations of any amount are appreciated to make sure the families can get the support they need during their recovery.